You know, sometimes it's just nice to have a little refresh or a little 101 session on what it really is. With that said, I'll just kind of jump into a few slides here. Maybe I'll get out of the way. So, how many people in this room, and just by a show of hands, just for me, just to amuse me, have been in media or any type of digital media for at least 5 years? Right, okay, so.
I'm not old enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim, you should be raising your hand. So tell me.
Yeah. More than 5 years. I know.
So, pre-5 years ago, right, there were a couple ways to access inventory on the internet, right? One was just to go directly to a publisher site, right, ESPN.com or whoever, and buy ads from them. Or the other was to go to an ad network. So, programmatic is really the evolution of the ad network. So let's just take a look at what an ad network is, right? There's supply and demand, right? So there's advertisers and there's publishers, and the ad network sort of sat in the middle as this place where advertisers could go and be able to buy across a bunch of publishers all at one time, right? So just kind of saving them time and also helping them not have to deal with the supply and demand issue, right? That was something that was left to the ad network to make sure that they had enough supply for the demand and didn't have too much supply, right? To where once the demand ran out, they actually were locked in on deals with a ton of sites to where they had to start throwing up, you know, ad council banners and things that weren't making them money. So that was anything pre-5 years ago. So how did something so simple, right? Just supply and demand become so complex, right? So today, right, it's not just, you know, can I get a few clicks out there on some sites? It seems like every week, or maybe that's unfair, every month, something new is coming to the forefront that, you know, we on the publisher side, right, that are selling to advertisers, and even advertisers need to be very concerned about, right? So Jim out there is one of the buyers from the agency side, I'm one of the sellers, and these are all the things that we're really concerned about today, right? It's not just a few things. It's bot fraud, it's viewability. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So it's become a little bit more complex, but those are just terms. And what programmatic simply describes how we use software to evaluate and buy impressions through online marketplaces, right? Kind of simple, kind of an elegant statement, right? So I think, you know, if you guys want to repurpose that statement, there's a lot of different definitions, right? But they all sort of revolve around this general concept, right? The way that we talk about it. It's just a technology that helps us do things. So programmatic setup, right? So I showed you how an ad network model looks, right? It's advertisers, it's publishers, it's the ad network in the model that sort of, you know, is that keeper of the inventory. The way programmatic, you know, works, and I think most of you in here know this, but this is just sort of a refresher for most of us, is the inventory right here, right? Publishers, it's all in one place, right? It's all within a particular exchange. There's several exchanges out there. So for a company like ours, RadiumOne, we want to be plugged into, you know, many of those exchanges so that we're getting a huge look at all of the available inventory that's out there on the internet, right? So we can sift through a huge sandbox, right, to find those nuggets of gold, right? Those converters, those new customers, whatever they might be. So the differentiation that RadiumOne or company ABC or company XYZ is bringing to the table, right, ourselves and our competition, is really twofold. We're bringing, hopefully, in most cases, different data to the table so that we're looking at different data signals out there, and those can be a variety of different signals, and making decisions on a different seed pool of data to find users in this huge pile of inventory. And then it's also our technology, right? And so it's data and technology that make companies like us stand out from one another. And so if you're if you're on the buyer side, right? Anyone in this room on the buyer side, when people come in and talk to you, I think those are the things that you kind of want to look under the hood on. And there's a real black box technology. They're not really explaining a particular algorithm or how they're making decisions on inventory, or if they're not coming with any kind of different data than the other guys, you might want to be concerned and really ask them those hard questions. Some of the data that we're all working with on the programmatic side is pixel data. I mean, that's the simplest form, right? It just tells us that somebody's been to a particular site, they've been to a particular page within that site, and that's somebody that's of high value to us, right? It's of high value to Criteo, to Rocketfield, to Quantcast, to all the other big names in the market space, right? So that we can hopefully throw an ad in front of them relatively quickly based on some behavior we've seen that gets them to act in a certain way. But that's where it sort of is commoditized, right, at the pixel level, because we all have pixels on these sites. So are we bringing anything different to the table? Do we have any kind of other software that's embedded into sites where we're seeing different types of behavior, right? Are we seeing any sharing behavior, any kind of different signals? That's what starts to differentiate. So really in this big pool here, what we're all trying to do is find that particular person, right? So I just an analogy from looking at those pages of the Where's Waldo books and trying to find where he is. That's what we're trying to do every day when it comes to advertising. So, and that is sort of it. I had a ton of slides. I wanted to really just kind of boil it down.